Thank you for this opportunity. Uh, this allows me to share my insights and learning for the last 12 months and how it has pivoted our businesses, everybody's life around us. Business spent a major part of the past year thinking on their feet, learning to adapt in the extraordinary environment as it unfolded. The COVID 19 induced lockdowns, the disruption in manufacturing, supply chain, sales, along with change in consumer behavior. And behavior kept changing and making us see the product differentiation coming more in front. When the lockdown started, people start getting into the habit of cooking, luxuries of baking cakes and luxuries of cooking Sunday meals. But then the reality sink in that it is not short term; it is long term, and therefore the entire the life cycle of people and the resultant businesses got impacted. The biggest learning and biggest efficiency which everybody would brought in was uh, removing the fat in the middle line, that's a cost line. And fortunately, unfortunately, the human beings, like springs, wants to bounce back to the level where they were prior to the epidemic. We as leaders need to see that we have a tighter control on the spring and then don't allow the spring to bounce back. A few trends are here to stay and would always stay with us for time to come. Everybody has realized that offline and online work in tandem and complement each other to drive real success. One can't just rely on one at the cost of other. The value proposition we as brand offer to a consumer is important to create trust. Any business which ignores rural uh, does so at its own peril. Rural has been a backbone of the turnaround. We saw a V-shaped recovery right from July, August onward. Signs of V-shaped recovery right from July, August onward. But that was backed by rural economy. The brands who have invested uh, well in the history in rural economy have done very, very well. Digital presence, digital engagement, digital e-com space will only grow in the future. It's yet a beginning has been made. Perhaps what could have happened otherwise in 5 years has happened in 1 year. But a beginning has been made into digital presence, digital economy, and I'm sure people would strengthen their back end to support this. The pandemic has been a great leveler for individuals and organizations alike. Today, as the economies reopen, businesses have evolved their offerings. Cognizant of consumer needs, as I've said earlier, prioritizing sustainability over profitability, mindful leadership acceptance, assessment, and acceleration give rise to an organizational culture that encourage and support learning and unlearning and relearning. So what do we do at Usha? How do we think the value chain and what transition have we made in the last 1 year? Supply chain disruptions due to pandemic driven restrictions affected end user demand and all sectors face significant disruptions in production, global supply chain, consumer demand. This spurred us to take a pause, rethink, evolve, and innovate the complete value stream right from the manufacturing to the consumer. And how do we link everything digitally, which allows us to live life normally, working from home, and without missing the boat at all. Now, here I'll take a step back to delve deeper into what were the changes we observed that we learned from it and how we evolved our strategy aligned to our learning and finally how it all panned for all of us. Number one, there were marked changes in consumer need and preferences as I've discussed some time back. The work for home scenario become a norm and remains so. This ensured that consumer engagement with appliances become more personal. So they sought better products that were multifunctional and helped save time beside ensuring a superior experience. They began using online to browse research and buy. They become conscious about healthy eating, healthy living, preferring fresh home, cooked meals, and so on. And all those things, the brands were keeping in mind, and they were shifting their new product strategies, aligning with the consumer need at this point in time. Further, given that work studies were all happening from home, each room become a sort of personal sanctuary, and become people become to pay attention to the comfort level of their individual rooms, from fan to coolers to air conditioners to lighting. Everything became more and more important when we realize the importance of every inch of air being flown into the room. Besides, many people needed creative outputs to keep themselves happy, and this saw a surge of home cookers, home bakers, home chefs, as well as tremendous growth in DIY kits, crafts, sewing as a hobby segment. For us, this worked to help grow not only sales, but we, to exploit our healthy pipeline, what we had in terms of product launches. Uh, we introduced almost about 25 products during this time, ranging from sewing machine to lighting, kitchen appliances, home comfort, cooling, water heating, and water cooling, and so on and so forth. Now, penetration into rural market, Usha being a legacy brand, always understood the importance of rural. We created the infrastructure of integrated rural distributors uh, close to about 3 years back. Now, this went very well with our strategy to be available at each nook and corner of the rural economy, and specifically during this pandemic, uh, companies started investing in rural, and immediately they found the emergence of rural economy suddenly. But we at Usha were very mindful of the fact that rural, you have to be omnipresent in their lives, to be sitting in their homes, to be sitting in their drawing rooms, to be sitting in their kitchens. Now, I'll give you an example right from 22nd of March, when we declared the lockdown, and suddenly we realized that how the products will be serviced, how the consumer will get service for the products what they already have, and unless they will have trust on us that in this time we are meeting our commitment of servicing, keeping safety and the lockdowns in mind, we created online engagement with the consumers to help them service their product on their own, which not only gain confidence uh, you know but consumer become more friendly with the product. Consumer became more aware of what the product can offer and how the product is working. So, ensuring that we have robust FAQ sections for all products. All our products and their availability are there online. Post sales service, as I said, is available. The content is available. The need of content perhaps has never been felt as much as it was during this phase. Now, when it comes to retail, the biggest perception of pandemic change was that offline and online actually complemented each other. This is one learning that now a part of how we strategize going forward. That how to keep the online is important. Most of the stores, retail chains in big malls and big shopping areas were closed, and it was brand like us who are aligning the two together, and that's what perhaps we further need to grow with some of the events which have happened in the recent past. That how do we strengthen online and offline, which is going to be a winner for the future. So, what all did we as leaders and as an organization learn about ourselves as we set up to adopt to the new normal? We learned that we are amazingly resilient. Every individual is amazingly resilient. and had the capacity to absorb the reality and act quickly when faced with adverse circumstances. We couldn't have left everything to the government, providing subsidies or providing financial help, and we couldn't have left everything to the government to give us. Therefore, we start working, keeping our attention at micros. For example, we in Usha were monitoring district by district how the growth is happening, how Rabi Fasal is happening, how the crop season is going, how the cultivation is happening. What are the farmers doing when nothing is happening in the macro economy? Now, I always reiterate and I always say and believe in that paying attention and managing at the micro level pays macro dividend. Everything at Usha across all levels dovetails into the macro agenda. Innovation, product differentiation, imaginative strategies, and gaining consumer trust. But the beginning has to be done at the micro level and therefore leading into the macro agenda of the organization. The altered reality led to altered ways of work. Business must serve the communities and surround them. By extension, the society, strengthening consumer trust as events like this can easily drive a trust deficit, adversely impacting the corporate reputation for the long run. What is going to happen with wave two is yet to be seen. We hope that nothing happens as seriously as is being people are feeling, or we trust that all of us remain safe during this time. You cannot depend on the government's lockdowns, because now any more lockdowns of the magnitude what we have seen in the past can Indian economy may not be able to sustain for long. We're already sitting at a fiscal deficit of almost close to about 8-9% of GDP. Beyond anything of the earlier magnitude would really hampers the complete growth of not only the economy but each of us, each of our businesses. Now, I hope everybody stays healthy and does his business successfully. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently. Thank you.